I like a lively crowd. Sorry, I know I'm not the moderator. And also, I'm wearing a very hard to sit in bustier.
Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. In today's episode, we'll hear from entrepreneurs Tina Knowles and Ashley Graham. Both of them spoke on Wednesday at Variety's annual Entertainment Marketing Summit. We had a packed house all day in Beverly Hills. Knowles did a one-on-one conversation with my colleague Angelique Jackson. Graham had a fun conversation alongside her UTA agent Natasha Baloki that was moderated by my colleague Jennifer Maz. That was Graham you heard in the cold open. Her enthusiasm was infectious in the room. But before we get to all of that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. The shareholders have spoken. Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders have voted overwhelmingly to approve the sale of the company to Paramount Skydance at an enormous premium. But they also voted thumbs down on the big payouts to CEO David Zaslav and a handful of key insiders who stand to make $80 million to $140 million from their work at the studio. The vote on pay is non-binding, but it sends a message, and it will be more grist for the corporate governance debate on how much is too much when it comes to executive compensation. Comcast reported Q1 earnings before the market opened this morning. The owner of NBC Universal and Sky saw revenue soar thanks to the Winter Olympics telecasts, but profit took a big hit as Comcast invested in upgrades to its cable and broadband businesses, and it grappled with increased costs for sports rights and production. Subscribers to the Peacock streamer increased by 12% year over year to 46 million. Actor and director Maggie Gyllenhaal will preside over the jury for this year's Venice Film Festival. Film lovers will gather on the Lido from September 2nd through September 12th. R.I.P. Dean Tavoularis, a true dean of film production designers who contributed so much to the look and feel of the Godfather movies. He died Wednesday in Paris at age 93. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now it's time for conversations with industry leaders about news and trends in show business. First up is Angelique Jackson's conversation with Tina Knowles. Knowles spoke from the heart about her work with her famous daughters, Beyoncé and Solange.
You know, it's funny because when I think back on my career and working with Destiny's Child, I was doing everything out of necessity. It wasn't because, and I didn't know I was producing. I didn't know I was creative directing. That term wasn't even a thing then. I was just doing what needed to be done. And a lot of times, never given credit for it. And I was okay with that. I actually liked hiding and being in the background. And I realized when I look back on it that I was literally this country woman with this big hair from Texas with this thick accent. And I would go into, a TV show like The Tonight Show and have to fight with the lighting director. And they'd be like, this is somebody's mama, get her out of here. And they didn't take me seriously, but I would be a pest. And I would say, I'm sorry, but, you got 4 black girls, you need more light on them. And they'd be like, who are you to tell me about lighting? But I was doing all these things. And I didn't feel enough, I guess. I didn't feel like I was professionally trained, so I would just be okay with somebody kind of pushing me to the side. Even though I bugged them enough to get it done, I never took credit for it. And it was really tough because we always admired Motown and how if you were sitting in the 20th row, you still could see that sparkle or something that looked bigger than life. But the record label did not like that at all. So they were constantly trying to get rid of me. They were like, Miss Tina is the problem. The girl's hair is too big. And in Texas, we like big hair. We feel like the higher the hair, the closer to God, right? And they did not like that. They thought it was country. And also, I would dress the girls in these sequins costumes, and some of them I look back on, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but a lot of them were amazing. And it set them apart, and so that they stood out and people wanted to look like them. And the record label was constantly tearing it down and saying they need to look like Britney Spears and they need to have on a midriff top and some jeans. And they even tried to get rid of me a couple of times, which didn't work, thank God.
Here, Knowles explained to Jackson how she had to reinvent herself at the age of 59 after a difficult divorce.
When I was 59 years old, which is really funny because I'm 72 now, and that's not old, but back at 59, I was like, oh my God, my life is over. I'm like, who's gonna want to date me, or who am I gonna have a life, or whatever. And I started recording into my telephone, but not for a book, to leave it to my kids, because I felt my mortality. And I was like, if I died today, my kids wouldn't know anything about their history because they're just not very interested in it. And so I would try to tell them stories and they wouldn't listen. So I was like, they're going to be real sorry one day. So I started recording just to leave it to my kids and my grandkids.
Here, Knowles talks about running her hair salon, Headliners, in Houston when her daughters were young.
I encouraged all of my stylists to help each other. And so we had a rule that if the client wasn't waited on in 15 minutes, they got their money back. Trust me, they got to them in 15 minutes. And it was just camaraderie. We did hair for the homeless on Wednesdays, and we had, those people came in, and then I had very professional clientele, and so we asked those people to help those women and pull them up. It was just a place of, I get emotional talking about it because it was way more than a hair salon. It was a lot of things, but it was support for women, just supporting each other.
And here, Knowles talks about the sacred hair care product line that she has developed with Beyonce, in part by using techniques that Tina learned from her own mother.
Oh my God. Sacred has been, it's really miraculous what we've been able to do, because I had a hair salon for many years. And back in the day, these were like late 80s, I would buy high-end scientific products that worked for the science part, but then, with textured hair, we needed lots of oils and butters. So I would mix up in my salon hot oil treatments with egg whites and things like that, but I would mix it with this high science. And so it was always a dream for me and Beyonce, because she grew up in the salon, that we would have a product that would do all of that. And so we started working on it about 6 years ago. And it's not an easy thing, because we do the most extensive testing in the laboratory, and then we do it widespread, and then we do it personally, which means me and the team and Beyonce, we're all using the products on tour. We test them. And so it took a long time to do. And by the time we did everything else, the marketing money was low. And, I'm talking to business people here, so that marketing is a big part of it. But the concept was to put a test salon in the office space, and to put a laboratory there, and to just kind of let the cameras follow that whole process of what we did. And it really worked. It was a gamble. And I was told over and over, that's not going to work. You can't have a salon in an office space. But it worked very well. And what happened as a result is our customers did videos and TikToks, and they advertise and they sell the product for us. And so we've won like 64 awards, which is unheard of. And we've all been out less than 2 years. And it was the number one, thank you. It was the number one launch at Ulta. And that is huge. And we did it with the help of our customers. They've come along with us through the journey.
And now we turn to Ashley Graham. Graham is a model and pioneer for representation for plus-size women. Graham and her agent, Natasha Baloki, didn't hold back in the conversation with Jennifer Maas on how hard they've worked to demand a wider range of body sizes on the runway. Graham also cited her work in designing apparel lines with retailer JCPenney as groundbreaking.
I've been fighting for size inclusivity since the dawn of time. I've been modeling for almost 30 years, and this has been the focus point. So when fashion that's affordable, fun, and size inclusive all comes together, I'm here for it.
I'll also add just to that, like, I think it depends on what the opportunity is. With the J.C. Penney in the line, I think a big aspect of that was also being able to bring this to the masses. And they're obviously a very accessible company that's been around forever, that's in a lot of places. And I think that was something that was also really attractive as it related to, bringing plus size to that community.
The thing that I'm always very conscious of, and I will be until there isn't a conversation about it, is that we just need to see all shapes and sizes on the runway and in accessibility. We need to have more than just an XL or a double XL in the store. And when people talk about size inclusivity, going to a double XL is not it. We have to go up in sizes. Not every designer is going to do it. And I'm not here to make every designer even have the thought. It's not for everyone. But the consideration needs to be there. And I'm always at glasses half full. We have come so far. Even in the last 10 years, there's more plus size creators. There's more brands that are doing plus size. There's just more opportunity that has come around and that I've seen when it comes to size inclusivity across the board. And I don't think it's anything to bat an eye at.
And here, Graham shares how she pushes herself to try new things to expand her own horizons.
Something that I never, ever thought I would do that I did bring to Natasha last year was I wanted to be on Broadway. I said, I want to sing on Broadway. Now, friends, I don't sing, I don't act, and I definitely don't dance. But for some reason, I had it in my head that this was a goal of mine. And I'm a big manifester. I have the yellow pad every year. I'm writing my 3 or 4 pages, and we're getting it done. We're putting it on the mirror and the walls. And when I first met Natasha and the whole team, they asked me what was the biggest dream I had that maybe hadn't come true yet, and that was one of them. I kid you not, 2 months later, Chicago calls, and they're like, we want you to come in for an audition. I was not ready. I had no idea what I was doing. I spent my own money and I went and got the best music teacher, dance teacher, acting teacher. I nailed the audition. I was Roxy Hart in Chicago for 6 weeks on Broadway. And UTA really helped me and made that happen. And what that did for me, and thinking about partnerships and what's next, is it made me say, I need to dream bigger. Because if something like that, where I'm not born with the skill set or I have to go and get trained for it, that means that there's a lot of training that could be happening for anything that I really want. And I'm really grateful that I have such a great team behind me at UTA that can make those dreams happen. And that's, back to what you were saying about there being this open line of communication. If I didn't have that open line of communication, who knows if the dreams and the desires would even be able to come true. So it's really about this open line of direct communication, access, and really knowing what the dreams and goals are.
Videos of the full conversations with Tina Knowles and with Ashley Graham and other sessions held at Variety's Entertainment Marketing Summit can be found on Variety.com and on our YouTube page. We're grateful to all of our Entertainment Marketing Summit attendees and our sponsors for making it such a great event, including presenting sponsor Deloitte. As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. Don't miss Friday's episode of Daily Variety's companion interview podcast, Strictly Business. That episode will have my full conversation from the Entertainment Marketing Summit with Perlina Ibokwe, who leads Universal Television and programming for NBC and Peacock for Scripted. She talks about the return of pilot season for NBC, among other trends. Variety will produce the first of 3 digital dailies out of the Cannes Series TV Festival in Cannes, France, starting April 24th. There's a lot of new TV coming as the summer months approach. On April 29th, Amazon Prime Video bows the miniseries House of the Spirits, based on the Isabel Allende novel, and Matthew Rhys toplines Apple TV's comedy horror series Widow's Bay. He plays the skeptical mayor of a town on a New England island that is cursed. We love to hear from our listeners, so please send thoughts, gripes, and other feedback about Daily Variety to podcasts@variety.com. Before we go, congrats to Katie Holmes. The actor will be honored by the American Ballet Theater at its spring gala that will be chaired by Carolyn Kennedy. The gala is set for May 20th at Cipriani 42nd Street in New York. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Angelique Jackson and Jennifer Miles. Sticks, snicks, hick, picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in Monday for another episode of Daily Variety.